Welcome back, everybody. Let's continue in our series on Moshiach. In today's class, we're going to talk about the inner Moshiach. And if you're new to this channel, then you will most likely find this language of an inner Moshiach to be quite troubling. Because what exactly does that mean? The inner Moshiach. First, let's take a step back and let me introduce you to some Kabbalistic and rabbinic sources from Chazal, from the sages of Judaism, the Chachamim, Zichronam Livracha, may their memories be blessed. Especially in the Midrash Tanchuma, which explains that Adam, a human being, is a olam katan, is a microcosm of the universe. This principle from rabbinic teachings, that a person is a microcosm of the universe, is central to the understanding of the inner Moshiach. Not only is there a spark of the Moshiach within you as a Jew, every single Jewish person has a Jewish neshama. And that Jewish neshama is a spark of Moshe Rabbeinu, Moses. Who was the Messiah in the times of the wilderness, whenever the Israelites were led out of slavery from Egypt and led through the desert on their way to the promised land? Who was their Messiah in that whole event? Moses. Moses is the archetype for the Messiah. That's why he was denied entry into the land of Israel. He prayed and prayed to enter the land of Israel, but God said no. Why? Because Moses was the Messiah of that generation. Really, his neshama is the Messiah of every generation. There is a spark of Moses in every single generation. That spark represents the Messiah of that generation. In other words, there is a potential Moshiach alive in every single generation. And it is up to that generation to merit the revelation of the Moshiach. If the generation does not merit it, then the Moshiach, the potential Moshiach, will pass away, and another one will arise in the following generation for another opportunity to bring the Moshiach. So the Jewish sources that we're bringing here are really teaching us that the Messiah is available and waiting for us to finish the job so he can finally reveal himself. Because without our active participation, the plan cannot be fulfilled. The completion of the Tikkun Olam cannot reach its fruition. We need to be ready. And why is it that way? Because God has mercy. God gives us time to correct ourselves, to prepare our vessels for this consciousness which is on its way. So if Moses represents the Messiah, and that there is a spark of Moses in every single Jew, which is the neshama, the godly, divine aspect of their being, which is really one with God, it's Eloha Mimal. It's a chelek Eloha Mimal. The neshama of a Jew is part of Hashem, so to speak. God doesn't have any parts, but it's a metaphor in a way of saying that every Jewish neshama, really in its essence, is Hashem. In its essence. So that's obviously a very big claim and a very big statement to make. So I would be a fool for making such a claim if I didn't have the reliant sources of the Zohar and the Gemara and all of our sources to back it up. So based on these teachings, it becomes very, very clear that there is a spark of Moshiach because there's a spark of Moses in every Jew. Therefore, there is an inner Moshiach. And the whole cosmic drama of the coming of the Messiah to redeem the world and fulfill the plan for which the world was initially created, which is to give goodness to the world and to have a relationship with the creation, and that's all represented in the coming of Moshiach. But that whole drama and that whole situation has to come on an individual level before it is able to come on a cosmic level. So before I bring my Moshiach, it is not possible for the Messiah, the collective Messiah, to reveal in this world. Without every single Jewish neshama being revealed in a body, in a physical body in this world, I cannot confidently say that Moshiach has arrived. Because the Gemara says that the Messiah, son of David, will not come until all of the souls have been brought down into their corresponding vessels in this world, which means once they've been revealed in the bodies. Once again, the Messiah, son of David, will not come until all the neshamot have been revealed in their gufot, in their bodies. Until all of the individual Moshiachs, all of the inner Moshiachs have been revealed in the inner worlds of the Jewish people. Because every single Adam is a olam katan, is a small world, is a microcosm of the universe. This idea goes so far. Even if you just think about it and contemplate this idea that a human being is a microcosm of the universe, it will lead you to some very interesting insights, which in my opinion are very necessary and very much encouraging to know that it is in my hands. It is in my hands. My future depends on the actions that I am doing right now. But the actions I'm doing now are informed by my wisdom and my understanding and my knowledge of how much Torah I know and how much of God I know. How well do I know God? According to how well I know God, that informs the actions that I choose to make and the decisions that I choose to make in the present day, which then creates my future. If I don't know that I have a neshama, and if I don't know that the neshama is Moshiach, and that my body represents slavery in Egypt, if I don't know these details, if I don't know that every time I have enjoyed a selfish pleasure, I have caused a spark of my own neshama to fall into the midst of the captivity of Egypt, which means to be trapped in the coarseness of this physical body, then how can I possibly bring Moshiach? How can I possibly partake of the messianic revelation? If I am enslaved, how can I enjoy the freedom of the Messiah? If I'm still bound to my addictions and my bad habits, if Moshiach were to come, would I even be able to enjoy it? If I'm still addicted to the habits that I have in this body, will I be able to participate in the redemption? Or will I just be excluded or miss out on the goodness and the greatness of the revelation? For people listening to this class now, I want to first reassure everybody and encourage everybody that it is not only possible, but it is a necessary step in the coming of the cosmic Mashiach that you should bring your inner Mashiach. The Messiah, son of David, will not come until all of the neshamot have been revealed in their bodies. But we must understand that there are two ways for a neshama to become revealed. There isn't only one way. There's two. Number one is through Torah. Because through the learning of Torah, I am able to purify my body, believe it or not. First, by correcting my thoughts, inserting truthful thoughts and truthful ideas into my brain. That's number one. Through the learning of Torah, through the contemplation of Kabbalah, etc. But once I have corrected my mindset, which is its own activity, that's its own category of avoda. For a person to correct their mind, to cleanse their thoughts in that way, it's not an easy task. But even that is only step one. The ultimate goal is to then allow those thoughts to pass through and enter into my heart, to affect the way I act. So that is the first way to reveal your neshama in your body. By first learning Torah and implementing it into your actions. That's called bringing the light of the neshama all the way down into the body, into the level of action. And that's called integrity, because you're integrating your neshama into your body. So that's the first way to reveal the neshama in the guf. And of course, we all desire to accomplish it in that way, because it is a very hard path, but it is a very rewarding path, because the end for such a person who goes through the work that is necessary in order to purify their body is olam haba, a significantly large portion according to the effort that they exerted in this world. They will be rewarded eternally in the world to come. But the second way of purifying, of bringing the Moshiach, is through suffering. I don't want to say it like that, it sounds a little bit harsh and too blunt to just say it in that way, but really that is the essence of the alternative option. There's only two options you have: life or death. There's only two ways forward. Whether it's with an eye that is able to appreciate the journey ahead, or a set of eyes that is unable to appreciate the journey ahead, and therefore it views everything that happens as suffering, as misery. Both ways, you're going to get to the destination. Whichever route you take, you will end up making it to the destination. But at what cost? For one person, it will be at the cost of their entire pleasure of olam haba, because they've corrupted their vision in this world, and therefore they can't appreciate the goodness of Hashem along their journey to their final destination. So what makes you think they'll be able to appreciate it when it finally comes? If I'm not able to appreciate the goodness of God now, I have a house, I have food, I have money, I have a YouTube channel, I have the merit to learn Torah, I have the merit to spread Torah. If I'm not able to rejoice and have gratitude for those blessings at this point in my stage of life, then what's the guarantee that I will have it tomorrow? What's the guarantee that I will be able to appreciate my olam haba when it finally arrives? But if I'm able to purify my body through the learning of Torah, although it will be a hard process, and no one's denying that, anybody who tells you that tikkun, doing your rectification, fulfilling your mission, and bringing your inner Moshiach is easy, he is lying to you, and he knows not what he is talking about. It is not an easy process. It is not an easy task. It was never meant to be. God understands that in order for us to be able to appreciate His blessings and His light, we have to put in the work. And unfortunately, for some who don't like to put in the work, that could be very, very painful. It could be very, very, even for some, it could become suffering. And that's why I said, if the vision is not correct, one way or another, this body needs to become rectified. One way or another, your neshama needs to be revealed in the body. So either we can make the journey a little bit smoother by working with the system, by cooperating with the divine will, by doing our portion and fulfilling our mission in revealing our inner Moshiach. Or we can be a kashay oref, we can be stubborn, and Hashem will gradually refine our body throughout the course of time. Throughout the course of time, one hardship after another, one generation after another. The children inherit the issues. They continue to avoid it. Their children inherit the issues. They continue to avoid it. Their children, and so on, so on, so on, so on. It just keeps passing over the din, the decree, from one generation to another, until someone down the lineage, down the line, finally decides to put a stop to this endless cycle of exile. One generation after another generation. 2,000 years we've been in exile. We would hope that those 2,000 years have at least cleansed us to be able to get the message and cooperate with the divine will, the divine plan, which is the Malchut of Shamayim. That's the kingdom of heaven. The kingdom of heaven has decreed X, Y, and Z, that this person needs to overcome this challenge and that challenge and accelerate in this way and improve himself in this way and upgrade himself in that way. The kingdom of heaven has a court system. We talked a little bit about it on Monday. That there are judges working in the kingdom of Moshiach, the kingdom of heaven, really. It's the kingdom of heaven. And the kingdom of heaven there's a government there. There's a federation, you could call it. There is a federation in the spiritual world. And there are many, 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 many angels that go up and down, and they work there, and they have different tasks. Every angel has but one task. No two angels share the same task. In any case, without getting lost in the sauce, without talking too much about the spiritual side of reality, because not many people can handle that, let's come back down to earth. Let's understand that there is a decree, there is a judgment that each and every single person carries with them everywhere that they go. If we are wise and we recognize the work and the improvements that still remain to be had, let's say I have a negative character trait, I have anger, I have lack of patience. Whatever the problem is, whatever the deficiency is that a person has, if I am able to recognize that I have that deficiency, if I am aware of the judgment, and I want to change, then I will learn the portion of Torah that corresponds to that particular problem. For example, person struggles with anger. We have sources and even books dedicated to the subject of anger. How to overcome anger, how to understand anger. Where did it come from? What's the root of anger? What is the root of the anger? These are all questions that Torah has an answer to. Person just needs to have the willpower to change, to want to change. A person must want to change. Otherwise, the gates of Moshiach are closed and the redemption will come. The redemption will come and we will not be able to participate in it, chas v'shalom. Because we were kashe oref and we didn't learn our portion in the Torah. We did not rectify our kli. Rather, we became part of the system of nature, and Hashem refined us gradually through suffering and through hardships and through different pains and difficulties that He sends us. Which means that we did not choose life. So now, in the year 5785, my brothers and sisters, I'm honestly talking to you from the bottom of my heart. Please choose life. I don't want to sound like a preacher. Unfortunately, sometimes I do sound like a preacher. But that really came from my heart. Please choose life. We all want life. We all love life. But there is a fear. We're afraid. We're afraid of living our lives in a world that we have completely let go and surrendered our control. Let go. Let go of the way you want this to be and that to look and your relationship to be like this and for your company to do this and for your life to be like this. Let go. Yes, hold on to those as a vision for a better future. Yes, implement them and work towards them. Make them your goals. Yes, 100%. But at the same time, understand that Hashem is in control. Surrender. Be able to surrender at any given moment to Hashem. That's what it means to choose life. And that's the difference between a person who smiles their way to Olam Haba and a person who cries their way thinking that they will be on their way to Olam Haba. Crying from a place of sadness and depression does not earn you a portion in the world to come. That's one of the hardest things for a person to accept, especially a person who has gone through depression, a person who knows what it feels like to be in a state of perpetual sadness. It becomes very important to know that that is not a way to get to Olam Haba. Rather, that pathway leads to darkness. That pathway leads to eventual seclusion from your portion in Olam Haba. So, we don't want to be part of the sadness group. Chas v'shalom, that there will even be a sadness group. But we all are very well aware that that option exists if we choose to walk down that road. Don't be one of those people. Cleave to the Torah. Learn the Torah. The best way to cleave to the Torah and thus cleave to Hashem is by learning His wisdom. Not just on an intellectual level, as I explained, but rather to implement it into your actions. That's the coming of your inner Moshiach. That's how to bring your neshama into your guf. And that's how to establish Olam Haba within you. Your body becomes your Olam Haba. Once you refine the coarseness of this body, it is this very body that becomes the vessel of your world to come. The world to come is now. The world to come is here. So thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed and took this message to heart. I will see you in the next week's class.